Well, one reason we'll probably remember those names is that those actors and films have all been nominated for this year's Academy Awards, and this year's Oscar competition is the subject of this special sneak preview show. Across the aisle from me, Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
This is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. Well, this year we thought we'd do something different for our annual Sneak Previews Oscar special. Instead of predicting who we think is going to win in every category and contributing to the bandwagon effect, we're going to say who ought to win in the top 5 categories, according to us anyway, who we'd vote for if we had Oscar ballots. Now, this was interesting. You know, across my heart, Gene and I sat down separately and we secretly wrote down our choices in the 5 major categories, what each of us thought was the best film or performance, each of those categories, and then we turned them over to the producer of this program, and amazingly, when he compared notes, our 2 lists were identical. We had independently arrived at the very same choices. Now, how did that happen?
Well, see, you've been working with me now so long that you're finally learning how to do it.
Thanks a lot, Gene.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
But seriously, I think that it is important for just what you said. Instead of going along and guessing what everybody else is going to do, and then we just contribute to this steamroller effect that sometimes starts with an actor's performance in mid-year. I think that we're doing now what critics really ought to do, which is say, out of this group, what we like is the best. So let's start with the nominees for Best Actress. We'll run through all 5, and then I'll give you my choice, and as it turns out, Roger's, of who we would vote for if we had a ballot. The nominees for Best Actress are...
Okay, you want it?
Jenna Rollins, who played a tough-talking cookie in Gloria, directed by her husband, John Cassavetes.
Up, down, up, down, up, down, up.
Ah! What is this, Hell Week?
Goldie Hawn, as a pampered princess stunned when she joins the Army as Private Benjamin.
Him still, and I guess it shows.
Sissy Spacek, who sang her way through Coal Miner's Daughter, the biography of country singing star Loretta Lynn.
When I had that accident, I died. I mean, just for a few minutes. But I saw it, and it's beautiful.
Ellen Burstyn is a woman who comes to know the healing power of love in the drama Resurrection.
Don't try to change me, Calvin. I don't want any more changes in my life. For God's sake, hasn't enough happened? Let's just hold on to what we've got.
And Mary Tyler Moore as the ice-cold mother who can't relate to her family in Ordinary People. Now, my choice by a wide margin, the actress who I'd vote for if I had an Oscar ballot would be Sissy Spacek. I can't imagine anyone doing a better job or a more complete job of acting than Spacek. She didn't have to sing in the picture. They could have dubbed in someone else's voice, but Spacek, a consummate young actress, decided to do it all, act and sing in Coal Miner's Daughter, and she does it all very well, creating a majestic portrait of a talented and tough and tender Southern woman. Here she is early in the movie when the teenage Loretta Lynn has to decide whether to join her husband, Tommy Lee Jones, who's planning to leave town, or stay at home and remain her father's daughter.
Hey, Loretta, I just fixing to come see you.
Was you gonna bring your girlfriend with you?
Oh, hell, that don't mean nothing. She just flagged me down. I got something to tell you, girl.
Yeah, I got something to tell you, too.
Loretta, I am leaving Kentucky. I'm going out west of Washington to get me a job on a ranch or something. That damned old coal mine has got me buried alive.
Was you just gonna leave me?
Just long enough to get the money to send for you.
What makes you think I'd come?
Because you're my wife, darling.
I'm your wife? Boy, you better think of a better reason than that.
There ain't nothing for me in Kentucky, Loretta. Except a chest full of coal dust and being an old man time I'm 40. You ask your daddy. Besides that, you got to come with me. I love you.
You promised Daddy you wouldn't take me off far from home.
Well, you just have to make up your mind, darling, whether or not you're his daughter or my wife. Get in. I'll take you back to the house. What are you doing in the bottom anyhow?
Come to see Dr. Herman.
You sick?
Yeah. I'm gonna have a baby.
Oh, Lord, Loretta. You know, darling, you might have found something that you know how to do.
I don't think there's another young actress capable of spanning the age range that Spacek does in this film. She excels here both as a very young teenager and later as a mature and experienced woman. Just terrific.
Well, Gene, as you know, Sissy Spacek is also my choice as the Best Actress of the Year, and I think you really put your finger on it. What a range of challenges for an actress in this movie, not only to sing, but think of the different, in a way, different roles that she plays in Loretta Lynn's lifetime. A little kid in Butcher Howler with no shoes on, a young girl going out on her first date,
Right.
a young bride, a young mother, going halfway across the country, a young housewife, a singer. Then she has a little success, then she collapses, a nervous breakdown on the stage, then at the end some maturity and some peace of mind. And she, as I said, she sings. It's a gamut. It's like an acting test for her to pass. She does a great job.
Yeah, every step of the way. You named about 8 different roles there. You know, one thing I think sometimes people wonder about is whether we're saying as critics we like the person physically, you know, are you attracted to that Sissy Spacek, or do you like the character? I like the acting. She's played more glamorous and more attractive, physically attractive characters. Here she's not a glamorous person at all by any matter of means. It's the range of acting. It's really on that basis.
I agree with you. In my case, it's really sheer admiration.
Okay.
Usually, the nominee for Best Actor every year seems to come from big box office successes, but this year's nominations concentrate on honoring performances regardless of the film's financial success. None of the 5 nominated actors were enormous blockbuster hits. Few of the films were real sleepers. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Actor.
Note, if you will, the extreme enlargement of the skull, the right upper limb, which is totally useless, the alarming curvature of the spine.
John Hurt contorted his body and used grotesque makeup to play John Merrick, the Elephant Man.
But you are Marine kids and can chew nails while other kids are sucking cotton candy. And you're Meachums. Meachum's a thoroughbred, a winner all the way.
Robert Duvall played a tough-as-nails professional soldier who loved his family and the Marines in The Great Santini.
Has it occurred to you that you are not the son that I always wanted?
Jack Lemmon was a dying Broadway press agent learning to communicate with his son in Tribute.
And on top of that, you signed me for a fight at 155, and if I don't make the 155, I lose $15,000. That's right. Oh, you're supposed to be a manager. You're supposed to know what you're doing.
Robert De Niro played the suspicious and angry middleweight prizefighter Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull.
Step right up, folks. Ride the ride of the century on Eli's killer crane.
And Peter O'Toole played a charming and eccentric movie director in The Stunt Man. Now, all of these performances were strong and original, and they were all by actors who are probably known more for their creation of characters than for being major box office attractions. But of the 5 performances, I admired the most Robert De Niro's in Raging Bull. It was an impressive achievement on 2 levels, psychological and physical. De Niro had to recreate the look and personality of Jake LaMotta, and he also had to recreate those punishing scenes in the boxing ring. He trained for a year to make this movie. Here's a scene near the end of the film. LaMotta's fighting career is over, he's totally out of shape, and he's put together a nightclub act in which he recites famous monologues from classic plays and movies. As he waits backstage, he rehearses Marlon Brando's speech from On the Waterfront.
It was you, Charlie. You was my brother. You should have looked out for me a little bit. You should have looked out for me just a little bit. You should have taken care of me just a little bit. Instead of making me take them dice for the short-end money. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it. It was you, Charlie. It was you, Charlie.
How you doing, Jake?
Everything all right?
Yeah.
Ready?
You got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
You need anything?
Nah.
You sure?
I'm sure. A lot of people out there.
Yeah, it's crowded.
Go get him, champ.
That scene really gets to me. De Niro put on 60 pounds to play the older Jake LaMotta in this film, and he's a classic example of a method actor throwing himself totally into a role. You know, in a film like Taxi Driver, he drove a cab as preparation. In this one, he got into the ring with Jake LaMotta and other boxers. He worked out for a year, and you had the feeling If you had met Robert De Niro while he was making Raging Bull, it would have been like talking to Jake LaMotta.
Well, I don't know if it's so important about what an actor does to get up on the screen. We are evaluating only what's on the screen. I think it's superb. He puts me through emotional changes, to use a sort of hackneyed phrase. When you watch him there giving that recitation, you feel the sadness of the character, what could have been. When he starts punching, he brings you up and shows the survivor, the winner, if you will, that LaMotta was able to achieve the win, the emotional of surviving through all the stuff he's been through. De Niro, just for trivia buffs, second time he's talked into a mirror, did it in Taxi Driver. Second time he's played Brando's character, he did it in Godfather 2 before. Fascinating actor.
I agree with you.
Okay. Next category, Best Supporting Actress. One thing the nominees for Supporting Actress have in common is that this is the first time any of them have been nominated. Here they are.
I'm not saying good looking, I'm saying popular. If you win.
What were you to say, good looking?
I didn't say anything. I'm just telling you you're always right.
What are you, an authority or what?
Not thinking.
Kathy Moriarty, who plays the tough-talking knockout blonde Vicky LaMotta in Raging Bull.
Well, I will have a veil, but I want a blue one to match my suit.
Mary Steenburgen is the first wife of the gas station owner who almost inherits a fortune in Melvin and Howard.
Sergeant Ross, this is the most pathetic group of trainees I have ever laid my eyes on.
Eileen Brennan, the tough-talking Army captain who makes Goldie Hawn's life miserable in Private Benjamin.
If we could just love each other as much as we say we love him, I expect there wouldn't be the bother in the world there is.
Eva Le Gallienne, Ellen Burstyn's grandmother in Resurrection at age 83, the oldest nominee in Oscar history.
There's nothing to talk about.
Are we still gonna have a cup of coffee?
But of course.
And Diana Scarwid as a waitress who falls in love with a crippled young man in Inside Moves. And my choice for Best Performance by a Supporting Actress is Mary Steenburgen. I think she is one of the most delightful actresses around. She was great in Time After Time about a year and a half ago. And in Melvin and Howard, she gives us a superior performance of a gutsy young woman who is a survivor. She forever holds her family together as she and her children are repeatedly abused by her husband's wild spending sprees. At one point in Melvin and Howard, Steenburgen has left her husband after he's failed again to pay the bills. She started dancing in a strip joint, and he's stunned when he sees her there.
Oh my God, it's Melvin. Hi, Melvin.
What is it?
Hey,
Come on down out of there. Come home with me. Come on. You go home. Yeah, get out of here. My wife can't be working here.
I get out in 10 minutes.
Wait for that. Come out of here. Okay, you want to dance? Here. Come here and dance. Hey, get the hell off the stage.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
I feel for you and everything, but you know, it can't happen in my place like this.
I know. I was gonna leave anyway.
Good. Okay, come on.
Let's go, girl.
Bye, Lucy. Bye, Elizabeth. Here you sit here. Thanks a lot.
Well, her energetic performance reminds me a lot of Sally Field's performance in Norma Ray, a strong, independent, and delightful woman. I don't think I'll ever forget Steenburgen's character in this film. She's just charming, an American original.
She really grows on you. She's my choice, too, and I have a lot of affection for that character. The funny scenes like that, and the other scene where she goes on the TV game show. And then also she always seems to be packing up the kids and taking them off, and they're waving goodbye, Dad. And then they meet up again, and it just repeats. It's a wonderful performance. She has a lot of style.
Well, I think she's just great. Let's go on to the next category.
Okay, so much for supporting actress. Here are the 5 contenders for supporting actor.
I lied. I do believe in dreams. Only sometimes I want to know what's happening when you're awake.
Judd Hirsch played the caring psychiatrist who works with a troubled kid and ordinary people.
If it's starting all over again, the lying, the covering up, the disappearing for hours, I will not stand for it. I can't stand it. I really can't.
Well, don't then. Go to Europe.
Timothy Hutton was the disturbed, suicidal son who learned to heal himself, also in Ordinary People.
It is I, the Great Santini.
Do you know, Dad, not one of us has ever beaten you in a single game.
Michael O'Keefe played Robert Duvall's rebellious teenage son in The Great Santini.
When you hear that rocket roar, you know Santa's on his way.
Jason Robards looked absolutely convincing as the eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes in Melvin and Howard.
They gotta give you the shot. You understand? If you win, you win. If you lose, you still win. There's no way you can lose.
And Joe Pesci played Jake LaMotta's brother and manager in Raging Bull. Well, there's one real ringer there in that category as far as I'm concerned, and that's Timothy Hutton. He gave an excellent performance in Ordinary People, but he played the central character. He was the lead. He wasn't a supporting actor. I don't think he belongs in this category. So my choice for supporting actor is Joe Pesci as Joey LaMotta, the tough little brother to the middleweight champion of the world. And here he is trying to convince De Niro to start training and get back in the ring.
There's nobody left for you to fight. Everybody's afraid to fight you. Okay, along comes this kid, De Niro. He don't know any better. He's a young kid, up and coming, and fight anybody. Good, you fight him. Bust his hole, tear him apart, right? What are you worried about? What's the biggest thing you got to worry about? The weight?
What about the weight?
You worried about the weight?
What are we arguing about for? I just said the weight.
Okay, let's say you lose because of your weight. Are they gonna think you're not as tough as you were? You're not the same fighter? Good. They'll match with all those guys that were afraid to match you with before. What happens? You'll kill them. And they gotta give you a title shot.
Bring me coffee, please.
Why? There's nobody else. Nobody's left. Who are they gonna give it to?
Coffee.
In a minute. You listening to me?
Please, honey, bring me the coffee.
All right. Oh.
Yeah, boy, how long I gotta wait?
Are you listening? Now let's say you win. You beat De Niro.
Yeah.
Which you definitely should beat him. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They still gotta give you a shot at the title. You know why?
Why?
Because the same thing as before. There's nobody left. There ain't nobody around. They gotta give you the shot. You understand?
I love that scene.
That's great.
I've seen this movie at least 3 times, and I still don't understand the reasoning. I'm just as confused as De Niro. Yeah. Pesci is De Niro's alter ego in Raging Bull. He wheels and deals, he negotiates and finagles, even manages LaMotta's personal life. It's a performance with a nice, tough, streetwise texture, and I admire it.
Just fabulous, Roger. I agree with you. I had the same reaction to that scene. What surprised me is here he is playing against De Niro, one of the greatest actors in America.
Right.
He matches him emotion for emotion in every scene they're in together. He doesn't give quarter. He's spectacular. He hasn't been in movies for a long, long time. I just think it's remarkable. I hope this guy works again every year. He's fabulous.
He'd be a real good choice for Best Supporting
Actor. And I agree
actor.
with you also on Timothy Hutton. Paramount Pictures obviously wants Hutton in the supporting category. Easier to get nominated, easier to win. But he really doesn't belong there, although it's an excellent performance. Okay, let's go on now to the year's top prize. The nominees for Best Picture. All 5 of the nominated films are of very high quality. 4 of the films are biographies, and the nominees are The Elephant Man. Filmed in black and white, the movie arouses your empathy with any creature who is an outcast.
Will you come this way, please? Mrs. Mother said I'll be in my room and I'm not to be disturbed, all right?
Of course, sir.
Will you come with me, please?
You heard what the doctor said?
Get back in here. I like you better natural. Forget the lipstick.
Coal Miner's Daughter was another biography that traced the up and down and up again show business career of Loretta Lynn. Here, Sissy Spacek has her husband take her first publicity pictures.
Oh, that's going to be pretty. That's going to be pretty. I don't want you ever wearing no lipstick or makeup or none of that junk. I don't like it. It ain't right. All right, here we go.
Where do you want me to look?
I want you to look at heaven, baby.
Mama?
Get out of there, sweetheart. I'm trying to take your mama's picture. Get over there and sit down now. Thank you, baby. Smile. Oh, beautiful. That's just beautiful. That's it, babe. Put the backdrop back on the bed.
Tess is Roman Polanski's film of the Thomas Hardy novel, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, the tragic story of a woman and the men who take advantage of her. Nastasia Kinski plays Tess.
art nor nature ever created a lovelier thing than you, Cousin Tess. To see that pretty mouth pouting and puffing away without producing a single note.
It's all a part of my work, sir.
Well, never mind, I'll teach you. I won't lay a finger on you. See? I'll stay exactly where I am. Now, you watch me. Don't scrap your lips too tight. Do it like this. Blow gently. Gently. Try.
Ordinary People, directed by Robert Redford, is based on Judith Guest's novel of a troubled Midwestern family, a family that has plenty of material possessions but can't seem to handle their feelings for each other. The result is a lot of explosive anger and bitterness.
All he wants is to know that you don't hate him. That's it.
Hate him? God, how could I hate him? Mothers don't hate their sons. Is that what he told you? Do you see how you accept what he says with no questions, and you can't do the same thing for me,
trying to keep this family
God, I
together.
don't know what anyone wants from me anymore.
Nobody wants anything from me.
Listen, look. We all just want Cal, Con, everybody. We just want you to be happy.
Happy?
Yes.
Ward, you tell me the definition of happy, huh? But first you better make sure that your kids are good and safe, that no one's fallen off a horse, or been hit by a car, or drowned in that swimming pool you're so proud of.
Oh.
And then you come to me and tell me how to be happy.
That's a heartbreaking and beautifully acted scene from Ordinary People. However, the film I would vote for if I had a ballot would be Raging Bull, the most artful film of the group, which recounts the saga of middleweight boxer Jake LaMotta. Just take a look at this great moment from the middle of the film when LaMotta, played by Robert De Niro, finally wins the championship after years of struggle. This is a brutish man's moment in the sun, and it is portrayed with sweetness and sadness and great drama by director Martin Scorsese, who uses stylized camera angles, slow motion, music, and heightened sound effects to give us an impressionistic view of a triumph in the boxing ring.
Finish him off. So smooth, be out. We'll fall right over him, Jack. Look at him.
Hey, Commissioner, come on in. I'm going to stop the fight.
That's just great movie making, and I don't think there's an American director working today who's making films any better than Martin Scorsese. And I think this film, Raging Bull, although it's very downbeat, does as a whole give a fascinating portrait of a human life, of a tough, often ugly guy who, like a lot of us, simply wants to be at peace with himself, but doesn't know how. I loved and admired Raging Bull, and that's why I'd vote for it as this year's Best Picture.
Well, Gene, as you know, I'd vote for it also for Best Picture, and what passion there is in that scene and throughout the movie. And Scorsese is a director who really just wants to knock us over with the energy and with the heart that he puts into his films. I love the way that he really played around with all the tools he had at his command in that scene. The sound effects, where you hear just what De Niro can hear, and then the hearing comes back. The way he uses the slow motion to show the exhaustion of those two fighters. He directs against what the direction of the scene should be. You think it's going to be exhilaration and victory, but it's exhaustion. and sadness. And the look on that referee's face as he walks across to pick up De Niro's hand, there's so much emotion in there. I think this picture is not only this year's best picture, but it's going to be remembered for a long time.
Well, I agree, and I wish more people were going to see it. You know, I think a lot of people think it's going to be too downbeat, it's going to be rough and bloody. It has some of those things in it, but my God, look at what we've seen already. We've seen a fantastic acting performance by De Niro, great movie making in these boxing scenes, certainly an insight into the boxing world that's better than anything we've had before in the movies. I just can't understand why people aren't going to see this picture. I think it's superb.
I think any movie that tells you something worthwhile about human nature cannot be that downbeat. And you know, we've had a lot of disagreements over the years on this program. I'm really happy that we agree on these categories, the Academy Awards this year. Let's recap our choices for this year's Academy Awards, and these are not our predictions, but who we'd vote for if we had Oscar ballots. For Best Actress, Sissy Spacek, aging from 12 to 32, and Coal Miner's Daughter. For Best Actor, Robert De Niro for his incredibly physical performance in Raging Bull. For Best Supporting Actress, Mary Steenburgen as Melvin Dumar's long-suffering wife in Melvin and Howard. For Best Supporting Actor, Joe Pesci, the fast-talking, streetwise manager and brother to Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull. And finally, for Best Picture, Gene and I both agree that the best of the 5 nominees is Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull.
And just to make the point, we're not saying that the ones that we didn't vote for are bad in any way. We're simply saying these are our preferences. So, those are our Oscar choices. The Academy's winners will be telecast Monday night, March 30th. Next week on Sneak Previews, we'll review 4 new films. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Funding for Sneak Previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.